Hello, my name is Jason Beaton and I'm here today to do the code review for 2017 Software Engineering Project Group UG04. So before we get into the actual code, I just wanted to have a quick look at our class diagram as this gives us a little bit of an insight into what I'm actually talking about in the review that is to come. So you can see all of our classes there. You can see how involved and how big it is. The main ones I'll be concentrating on: the mission panel, which is a GUI, the UG04 server, which does the main crux of the movement and the connections and all of that for the robot, and then you've got the map function here, which is looking for your obstacles, your zones, your areas, all of that sort of stuff, and then some other little functions there that create an instance for the client, a bit of parallelization here, and then the real-time map, which is the ascending of the showing of the real-time map in the GUI here. Alright, now before we actually start, I do want to say that I think the code as a whole is well structured and easy to read and well done. Now I would say that because I've had a hand in writing it, however I do believe that. So having said that, there is some points that could use a bit of work. And the main bit that could do with a bit of work, so if we're just starting with the code quality here, is in the mission panel class. And in particular in that mission panel class is this initializing the components function, which is starting here. It is actually very long and it's not easy to understand, and therefore should be broken up into separate functions. Now I can show you how long it is here. It keeps going and going and going. It keeps going, it looks alright, we're calling it, and then we end up with all of this, and then finally it ends. So that there, first point, needs to be looked at. If we go back to the top, original over there, if we look at the UG04 server here, I just want to mention about the commenting style. I think all through as a whole, the commenting style has been implemented correctly, so 98% of it's been done very well. However, again, there is a couple of little points that we need to look at where we've got some coding that's done inline. We've got some code that's been commented out that should be deleted, and then you can see the inline code. And again, that's in the mission panel class, so that's where we really need to have a look at first. But you can see there's the inline code, and then also within UG04, the refresh location is a little bit messy, and that should be cleaned up before handover. Furthermore, there are no uncalled or unneeded procedures in the mission panel class. There are some uncalled and unneeded procedures in the mission panel class that should be deleted, and you can see those are just here. They're not actually doing anything. They're being called above, but they don't actually do anything, so we need to have a look at that. But there are no blocks of repeated code that should be condensed into a single procedure. Alright, on to the variables now. So throughout the whole project's code, all variables are properly defined with meaningful and clear names, but again, there is just a little downfall here with the mission panel class, and I'll go to them now. The class is a series of JButtons, JLabels, and text fields that are only numbered and do not directly reflect the component they refer to in the GUI. And you can see all of them here. These ones are fine, these not so much. However, throughout the whole code, the variables do have the proper typecasting and scope. We've got many variables, you can see them all here just in the UG04, so they all work beautifully. In regards to memory management, so we're using Java development language, Java development environment, so therefore we'll use the inbuilt garbage collector, so we're not actually disregarding any of we're not erasing or anything like that. When we don't have any pointers or anything like that, we need to worry too much about. And the storage used for the project's code is efficient. So let's look at error handling now. So at the time of this recording, we are yet to really implement anything in the way of error handling. Which is a mistake. So the input values from the user of the GUI are not checked for reasonableness before use, which would be in here. All of this sort of stuff in here. All of this sort of gear here. So all the testing and the use cases we've used now, because we've written it, we know what's useful and what's reasonable but we haven't actually tested it too much for someone to mistakenly enter the wrong parameters. So we need to look at that. Furthermore, we've also got in the UG04 server class, we've got some hard-coded global variables in here that we probably need to look at and maybe changing that, just because for ease of use this might not be exactly how the client wants it to run, so therefore we probably need to look at that, having that being a little bit more dynamically allocated instead of hard-coded. We've got errors that are not actively detected and handled, and therefore processing does not continue when errors occur. So we need to have a look at that too. That just robot stops; it doesn't just keep going. The code does not pay attention to recovery from potential hardware faults like arithmetic faults, power failures, etc. And also there is some redundant code which I've mentioned before in the mission panel class that should be remedied. So there's just a quick little code review there. So my recommendations from the review are the majority of the issues with the code stem from the mission panel class. This one here. The reason for this is that we created the GUI using NetBeans, and as such it's an automatically generated some of the code, which has made it not that easy to understand. So I recommend we have a good look at the mission panel class again. I don't think we need a total rewrite of the code, as it works very well and it does map our design very closely. However, it could be made a lot easier to read and understand for the clients. And also, we need to really add in some error handling measures, as we've not thought about that at any great length yet. So this will mainly apply to the mission panel class again, and that's where the majority of the user input is performed. So I hope you find this review useful, and thank you for your time.